All right, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. My name is Mike Benner, Public Information Manager here with the Portland Police Bureau. First of all, I want to thank you for your patience. I know you've all had questions since this morning, but of course we had to get that initial investigation down the road and had to gather all the people here behind us so that we could talk with you. So again, thank you for the patience. I also want to preface that this investigation is in its early stages. A lot of work still has to be done. It's a fluid investigation, so details could change in the days ahead. So please understand what we shared today at this moment is what we know right now. Our first speaker is going to be Commander Jim Crooker, who oversees our Special Resources Division. He'll give a quick synopsis of the details of what happened early this morning. He'll turn it over to Chief Day for some remarks. Special Agent in charge of the Portland FBI office, Doug Olson, will then speak. Mayor Wilson will follow him, and then we'll have Charles Leverton, GM of the MAC Club, right after that. With that, I will turn it over to Commander Crooker.
Hello, I'm James Crooker, C-R-O-O-K-E-R. So this morning, this started at 2:49 when some employees saw a vehicle slowly driving around the location and enter into the MAC Club through a window. And that vehicle continued driving inside of the MAC Club. And it was shortly found engulfed in flames by the employees who called 911. Police response very quickly realized that there was a deceased person inside of the vehicle, and we began activating a lot of resources out of an abundance of caution. It was, just hours after May Day. It was also here at this location, which is important because we're going to have the FIFA World Cup here soon. And we just wanted to make sure that that this event wasn't related to anything that could be considered domestic terrorism or anything of that nature. So in the course of ensuring that this entire community was secure, we activated resources from our Metro Explosive Disposal Unit, and that involves a number of partners. And in the very early minutes of this event, we made it our first priority to sweep the area to make sure that the community was safe if they came out of their residences or people stumbled upon the scene. And once that was established and we knew that the community was safe, we shrunk down the scene and we began to focus on the investigation. And so at this time, I just want to remind everybody that the community is safe right now. It is an active investigation, and it's also an active scene. So we're still processing things that require our explosive disposal unit, and that is going to continue until as long as it has to. And so with that, I think I'm going to turn it over to the chief to fill in the additional details. So, Spot Day.
Thanks, Jim. Good afternoon, everyone. So it's been a busy 24 hours for Portland Police Bureau. Continues to be an agency that's stretched, but one that I'm immensely proud to continue to lead as we don't do this alone. Yesterday's activities were relying upon support from the Sheriff's Office, Multnomah County Sheriff's Office, Multnomah County DA, Oregon State Police, Federal Protective Service, U.S. Attorney's Office, and then this morning, once again, looking for support and great partnerships. I want to recognize Portland Fire Bureau, Portland Fire and Rescue. Chief Johnson and I have spoke today, and just really grateful for their support. And of course, you can see the FBI is with us. I know that the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms has been involved. And our metro area disposal unit is comprised of several agencies from the area, including Vancouver, Clackamas County, Gresham, Port of Portland, Multnomah County, etc. So Portlanders and the region should be confident in the public safety system that we have. And I'm immensely grateful for the first responders who have put in the hours and will continue to put in the hours and time today to provide the highest level of safety to all Portlanders. First and foremost, as we talk about the events of this morning, I want to recognize the sanctity of life and the tragedy and the loss of life that has occurred here. I can seem somewhat sanitary as we talk about facts and lay out circumstances, but in the end of the day, we know that an individual lost their lives this morning, and I always consider loss of life through acts of violence to be a failure for us as a community, something that we need to always strive to be better on. And I can assure you that Portland Police Bureau's first and foremost commitment is to the sanctity of life and the protection for all Portlanders. A couple things that I want to highlight. First of all, we know there was a crash here a couple of weeks ago that where a security officer was injured. These events are unrelated in our opinion. Bad luck or bad timing for the Multnomah Athletic Club, but we don't see any type of connection in that regard. As already been mentioned, we feel confident in assuring the community that there are no other threats, that this is isolated. I want to thank once again the appropriate response both by Commander Crooker and by our federal partners to be able to say with the best of information we have right now that this once again is an isolated event not related to a domestic terrorism. The high levels of explosives and concern around fire and damage certainly warranted that early response, but we can assure both the members of Goose Hollow, this community, the Timbers organization, Thorns, and greater Portland area that we feel like we've got things contained at this moment. As earlier mentioned by Mike Benner, this is an ongoing investigation. I also know that there's a lot of information flowing out around there about who this individual may or may not be. For the Police Bureau, we will continue to follow our processes and the rule of law, and the only entity that is authorized to speak to the identity of this individual is the medical examiner's office. They are the only ones who can make that notification, and so we are following their lead. They are on scene, but they have been unable to determine the identity of this individual because of the risk involved as we continue to clear away other explosive devices. And that's really important information for a few reasons. One is that we want to respect this family. We want to respect the fact that there are friends and loved ones, and they deserve the process and the respect to be properly notified. At the same time, we also don't just sit and wait for that notification. So we are actively engaged in this investigation, seeking alternative evidence and parts of it that will lead us to the confidence that we have to tell you that we have at least an assurance to provide the community a level of safety. So even though we're not identifying this person because we're waiting for the ME, we have a great deal of confidence that we're on the right track in terms of where we're going in pursuit of this. And it's important that we protect the integrity of this investigation, not only out of respect for this individual, but also out of respect for the Multnomah Athletic Club and for its members. They deserve a comprehensive, full investigation, as well as for the greater Portland community, Goose Hollow and downtown and the rest of Portlanders. That how we show up in these spaces at these times are important, and it's critical that we have confidence that these things are done appropriately. So with that said, I'm going to turn it over to a great partner in this work, Special Agent in Charge Doug Olson. We'll be available for questions after we get through the speakers. Doug?
Thanks, Chief. Yeah, thanks, Chief. Hello, everyone. Doug Olson, Special Agent in Charge of the FBI here in Portland. I just want to say from the beginning that I know how much stress and fear like an incident like this can cause in the community, and we stand with the community as we move through this. But I do want to highlight what the Chief pointed out. The teamwork here is outstanding. Our Special Agent bomb technicians sit on the team that responded to the incident here, along with a plethora of other federal and local partners. We have our evidence response team here to process the scene once it's been cleared by the bomb technicians, and we're actively conducting interviews and follow-up on the investigation. So that we can't do this without a great team, and we have a great team working on this. I also want to reiterate that the investigation is ongoing, but as the Chief pointed out, at this time, we don't have anything that's leading us to believe it's anything other than an isolated incident. So I think that's something that the community can take solace in. Beyond that, we stand ready to support our partners in any way we can, and we will continue to work this until its logical conclusion. So I'll just conclude there and pass it to Mayor Keith Wilson.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming out. You know, I'll compliment what Special Agent Collins and what Chief Day noted about the parties that showed up at really a moment's notice. But there are three people or three organizations I'd like to share my gratitude for and talk about that in successive order. First, Portland Fire. They got the call early and they responded with their quick work, their training. They took a possible catastrophic event, and we're here talking about a tragic event instead. So their quick action really kept this from being a very large incident that was going to affect a lot of people. So thank you to Portland Fire, their quick work. And then our Portland Police Bureau. quickly responded, and then they called our federal partners, the FBI, the ATF, who partnered with us and responded quickly just to make sure that this situation wasn't going to become a tremendous incident. So we are very appreciative to those three people. Our federal partners continue to show up when we call them, and we're grateful for that. At this time, though, I'd like to also just, note our sadness for the individual who lost his life here. And we'll certainly provide those condolences, but when we come to think about it, we always have opportunities to help individuals out. And so we'll look back at this person's past, and we'll determine what we could do to try and improve our future for Portland as well. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Leverton, who's the general manager of the MAC Club.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm Charles Leverton, General Manager of the Multnomah Athletic Club. Just a few words. Our community obviously is shook right now. We've got two priorities. One, helping support law enforcement in their investigation, and secondarily, just making sure our community is embraced and working through this. We've worked through some hard times before. We're 135 years part of this Portland community and as a key pillar, and we've gotten through some tough times, and we'll get through this as well. On that note, I want to thank the first responders. The response this morning, we were out really early at 3 o'clock, and the response was amazing. It really showed Portland at its best. I want to thank everybody behind me for all the hard work that they did, and the humanity in which they did it. I think that's really critical. And then I also want to thank the greater Portland community. There's been so much outreach just in the last 5-6 hours of offers of support and help and just kindness, and so I think it's what we do best. We're Portland and we show up for each other. MAC is a 22,000 person nonprofit community, and for us it's really, really important that right now we focus on the people and the conversation, and we're hoping to get through this. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Charles. Before we turn it over to some questions, just a reminder again, we're just 12 hours into this investigation. The last thing anyone wants to do up here is jeopardize the integrity of that investigation, so I hope you can understand that and respect that through your questioning. And with that, we'll open it up. Just identify who you are and who the question is for. Jake, we'll start with you.
Jake with KGW. I was wondering if anybody can speak to the extent of the damage inside and if there's a timeline on reopening.
So it looked like there was an intent to detonate more than actually ultimately was detonated. So I'm not, I'm not an architect, but the interior is not as damaged as it could have been. As far as the timeline on reopening, that's something that the MAC folks are going to have to evaluate. I don't think they've had an opportunity to go inside yet to see the damage. I went in fairly early and saw it, fresh after the firemen put the fire out, and there's still a vehicle in there, and there's some burn damage, so it's going to have to be evaluated when that vehicle's removed. Yeah.
What did detonate and what didn't?
Well, I'm not going to get ahead of myself. The expert on explosives is standing behind me here, but I think that there was an intent to detonate a number of explosive devices that just didn't go off. And some of those devices, I don't know if you're comfortable communicating any of that, or if that's going to be something that you want to share at this time.
Thank you, Jim.
Sure. My name's Jim Dufresne. It's D like David, E, F like Frank, R-A-I-N. I am the supervisor of the Metro Explosive Disposal Unit and a Portland police officer. To speak to what we found, myself and the arson investigator made an immediate entry when we arrived a little after 4 o'clock this morning. We found a number of what we believed were incendiary devices and improvised explosive devices. Some of those devices had already gone off, and so there was significant damage to the area. There was also a number of devices that were left in different states. We call it a low order explosion, where maybe they had started to go off but they weren't completely consumed, and so we needed to work on those. There's a couple inches of water on the floor in there. It is a very, very difficult place to be working. My folks are in there, and they've been in there for about 14 hours now, processing that scene, and there's been 3 or 4 different times over the course of the afternoon where, as we process, we find another device that we need to work with, and so that slows everything down. And so we're hoping to probably get that finished up in the next 6-8 hours or so.
What were they made out of, these devices?
I'm going to let the investigation proceed on that.
We saw propane tanks, Abby Davis with KBTV. We saw propane tanks. Were those included in the explosive devices?
Those propane tanks were in the car, yeah.
RL something points it says those explosives you say you're finding, 3 or 4 times you find another device. Were they all transported in with the vehicle, or were some of them already placed inside, like a pre-planned event to that level?
No, this happened. Everything was inside the car. We've had a bunch of video. We were able to kind of track how this went. We know with a pretty high level of confidence that he was all contained when he went in, and everything that we have found has been directly related to that car.
Julia Silverman with the Oregonian. Can you speak to whether there seemed to have been an attempt to get close to a gas line?
I can't speak to that. The kitchen is down in that same area, but I can't speak to why or how somebody had done that.
Jennifer, was that a concern of the gas line being relatively close to where this crash happened?
Yeah, it absolutely is a concern for us. Immediately when fire was here, they went and got the gas shut off. The power was going to be shut off. The water had to be shut off so we could work. The power's back on now, but the gas is still shut off.
So obviously, many of us may have been inside the MAC. When you go in, if you turn to the right. If you turn to the right here, that's where the restaurants and such are. Is that the way that the car seems to have headed toward the restaurants, toward the gas line?
Yes.
Jennifer Singh with KT News. Do you have an exact number of how many explosive devices were found?
While I was getting ready for this, they found another one. And so every time we find another one, we have to stop. My folks, unfortunately, were thin everywhere. My folks are exhausted. I am going to sit them down after this just so they can get a break and kind of get their heads. This is a dirty, dangerous, complex job. I've been a bomb technician here in the city for over 13 years. This is by far the most complex scene that I've ever dealt with.
So is there concern that they could still go off?
There is a concern that they could go off if we don't handle them appropriately. We're still using remote methods like robots in order to move that stuff around safely.
That was going to be my question. We saw a number of robots inside. What exactly are they in there doing? How do you guys utilize those?
I don't want to spend any time down there that I don't need to. Unfortunately, a robot is not as good as a person, so everything takes a little bit longer. Fortunately, we have really good technology here. We have really good equipment. We have really good folks to drive those things. So we were able to go down there with our robots and start removing those propane tanks one at a time and then continue our investigation. Our hope is to get to a point where we can get the medical examiner in there and start to move the process along.
There's one or two more and we got to go.
Can you someone speak to a cause of death for the?
I can't, no.
There's security camera footage circulating already. It's out there. I'm just wondering, maybe this is a question for Mr. Levinson, if the MAC is willing to release that to shed more light.
We're going to defer all investigations to the enforcement.
Is there any? Will the security?
We will not be putting any of that out anytime soon.
Obviously, this was.
Take last question.
Okay. Obviously, this is a tragic incident. I wonder if you had a message to some of the MAC members who are concerned about not being able to come back in when this all happens.
Yeah, I'm not media trained like everybody else, so I'll just be candid. We went through COVID. I've been here since 2020. We went through COVID. We've had a lot of challenges in the last 6 years since I've been the general manager, and our community is a community, not a building. And so for the MAC members that are out there, and quite frankly the community, we had a big event last night where the entire city showed up. I think pull together and do what we do best, which is stay together and support each other. And right now support the law enforcement and getting them moving along, because nothing can happen until that finishes. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming this afternoon. At this point, I do not anticipate another media availability like this today or even tomorrow, but if that changes, I'll of course reach out to your newsrooms and let you know. Again, thank you for being here.